on the 13th of January, 2026, of the Finance Committee, 6:33 p.m. We have in attendance Mike Warner, Chuck Colby, we have Jason, Mike Flanagan, Mike Andrews, Ann, and Kevin. I have received notice that Kathleen will not be in attendance this evening, and Al is going to do his best, but he had some issues at work. He's not sure when he'll get out from there. But we do have a quorum, so we're able to operate. So this evening we have, I'm still leaving the $35,000 in the reserve fund. I've requested to get a signed form back from the select board that we approved the reserve fund request from the fire department during our last meeting, but it's not official until the select board does that. So I'm going to treat it as that money is still there. We have no requests, so it doesn't matter. And Mary Beth has said that she'll get me an electronic copy of that. And tonight we have the police department and the Board of Health at 7:30. So, and just as an update, still have not heard anything for rescheduling. The town clerk is, we're aware last week, did have to cancel at the last moment, but and I did give her several choices of meeting dates and times that we are available. We still have some openings, and we haven't heard back from the Historical Commission either. That's the only two that are still out there. So.
Is it the Historical
Commission?
That meets Tuesday nights right next door?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I did send a follow-up, and I know, Jason, you've also, I think, reached out once or twice.
Once, I think. A while ago, though, I can reach out to them.
It might be, yeah, probably worth. It's after the new year, right? People kind of get in the holiday mode and they don't pay attention. It's not a big deal. It's they don't have a huge budget anyways, but it's just process for us, and that's it.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So Whitman Hanson District, when are they scheduled? And do we know who will be presenting?
That's a great question. They are scheduled, Whitman Hanson Regional, we pushed those out to February 24th after the school vacation. Knowing that in the past, it can take them into mid to late February to actually have their budget numbers, so there's no point in meeting with them until they have
Right, yeah, the
so,
governor's budget is out in a few more weeks, so yeah typically is then. Yeah, I was just curious if we knew who was going to present that.
I am assuming that it would be the temporary superintendent that would be presenting, but we often have a couple of members of the school board as well here, so it may be, maybe whichever.
Who is the temporary?
Who's the principal?
Principal from Duval.
Yeah, I can't remember the name off the top of my head though.
Yeah.
Frank?
All right, thanks.
I would imagine that outside consultant would also be here since he's the one running the business office there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he can't be up to speed, I wouldn't think.
Yeah,
It's a lot he just got thrown into,
yeah, and I don't know what the transition
Right.
plan was, so I don't know if Dr.
John
Simonek-
Marcus.
That's Mr. Vargas.
Way off. Jesus.
Yeah.
Frank, John.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 weeks scheduled for the rest of our departments, so we should be done by the end of February with meeting with all of the departments that we've scheduled. And I did put in a request. I think I CC'd everybody here through email. Put in a request to Mary Beth to try and get a joint meeting with the select board for the month of February. Mid-February kind of would be great. Just to kind of, get a sync up. Where are they? What's changed? Or any numbers changed that we need to be aware of? At that point, all of the negotiations with the unions is done and signed. So that would clear up some questions we've had. and then another one end of March. And that's when I think we should present our recommendations back in. So that's one for us to consider. Last couple of years, what ends up happening is we get, here's the budget. Finance. That's one in, sir. No, we're just catching up. We just kind of
Quicker the better.
take it or leave it kind of thing. But I think
For all seats
there's
accounted
another
for?
way.
Yes.
Oh, sitting in the back.
Open seat, come on up.
Putting you in the hot seat.
You're gonna need to hold my hand.
How are you, Chief?
Okay.
We'll do a quick run through, just introductions.
Just one to you.
Okay.
This one to me, and then. Is that-
These the updated numbers.
I hope so.
The one I had was still in negotiation, so I don't.
Yes,
assuming they're like-
yes, yes, it's been updated. To the best of our knowledge, anyway. Not saying they're not gonna change again.
Nope. Let's just run around real quick, do quick introductions. We do have some new members on the Finance Committee. So I'm Mike Warner.
Chuck Colby.
I'm Mike Andrews.
Jason.
Yes.
Mike Flanagan.
Ann Zuniga.
Kevin Wolf. Nice to meet you.
Tracy, admin assistant, Tim Hanlon.
Well, this isn't your first rodeo.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you the same spiel that I give you every year. Obviously, at the top of the worksheet, if you can focus your eyes on that. Oh yeah, and then I tried to fit it on one page, so
Yep.
that's how it came out on the biggest paper I could get. So. So if you need to take a picture of it and then magnify it like I may need to. So just going down the top section of lines, the police chief and deputy chief, this is a contract year for us. So those are, again, the 2.5 placeholder is included in that. Where it goes is anybody's guess from there, but that's where we're starting off anyway. The all other services, which is salary lines, everything else that comes out of police services. So we pay that regular salaries, overtime, court time, training. It all comes out of that big bucket, and then it goes. Tracy codes it accordingly, so we can tell how much we pay for each. So some years we don't have new recruits, so if we don't have a retirement, we don't have to put anyone through the academy. Other years it's training for different things. Obviously, if it's an academy, more goes in the training bucket. So that is not specified in this budget per se, but we stay within all of the services. Obviously, that's the biggest line here is personnel paying for that. Clerical is Tracy. Records clerk is our Melissa, and they work in tandem. They help each other out for a lot of things. Records clerk is for a lot of things that ends up being public records requests. She sorts all that. She'll research it, redact it. They've both been to that training. Tracy does more of the budgeting from week to week, day to day, figuring out what everyone's pay is supposed to look like. So she does a very, very good job at that. So she is like the heart of the operation, really, in that respect. The auxiliary police line, our auxiliary numbers are dwindling, but we still do have a couple left. And so our auxiliary specials at one point numbered in the 20s. And when we had a part-time academy, they'd go to a part-time academy, they'd come on, they would do auxiliary, so they'd be in an auxiliary cruiser to kind of help us out on weekends. back in the day, 20, 25 years ago, would put them on Sundays and they'd do like a crosswalk for church. They would assist with parades and everything else. With the advent of police reform and post, they did away with part-time academies, so there are no more part-time officers, and they made those officers kind of come up to a higher standard by going through what in Massachusetts is known as the Bridge Academy, which meant more training, additional training, as well as hands-on things. So they had to go to the EVOC class, emergency vehicle operations. They'd go to firearms training, which they had to qualify anyways, but this was a little bit more formal than just an annual qualification. So in addition to that, they had to have 24 hours of experience. They could go back to the day that they started part-time. So our numbers from 20 dwindled down, and then to, I think we have 5 or 6 right now who are able to assist in shifts. So if the list here of officers you see on the bottom half, if there's an opportunity for overtime and none of them take it, it will go to one of these auxiliary officers who are qualified to stand in, and that's a savings to the town.
Is that the same as like a part-time auxiliary? Like,
Part-time is auxiliary, yes.
like
Yes.
former police officers that retired that.
So then there's a different qualification, which if you retire, obviously they don't want to work shifts, so
Right.
they will work road jobs and
Details,
details.
yeah.
And obviously those, when the numbers of part-time people who are looking to get into on the job, like some of the younger people are, and then mix with the people who have come through retired, they're not going to want to work a shift
Right.
at the auxiliary rate. So.
Blame 'em.
Right, yeah, so when they were working, even their straight time was more probably at the end of their career than the auxiliary rate.
What is
And,
the auxiliary rate?
Tracy?
$26 an hour right now.
Yeah.
So about how many? So in 2025, you used 6,656. You're asking for 5,000.
I don't know why that expended line is like that. We may have run over for something or other.
And that's just expense. That's not like when they work overtime.
Yeah,
No, the
that,
auxiliary police.
yep, so
Yeah,
so
that's
the
just an
auxiliary
expense.
police expense, which was the line I was on, just kind of explaining what the auxiliary officers do.
Yeah, what the cost is though.
But they would get paid out of
26.
the all other services.
Oh, that would come out
That's
of all
just
the
an
services.
expense line, right? Yep, yeah.
What would their expense? That would be the expense of their hours, right? That would
No.
be their
That's
cost.
like if they had,
That's
So then those auxiliary police
uniform,
also-
equipment.
Yeah.
So those auxiliary police also get other, other expenses, like uniform. You were saying.
In most cases, they're responsible for a lot of that on their own, or they were in the past.
So what's the auxiliary police expense? I guess
That
that's
could
what I'm
be ammunition for annual qualification for, a number of them. It could be replacing or outfitting them with a portable radio. Could be any of their duty belt items that they don't, could be some things along. It was up to 20,000 at one point because
Well, yeah,
when
'cause
we
you
were,
had
when we were
20
putting them
people.
through, we were putting them through the Bridge Academy, and that was an expense in and of itself. They needed a separate uniform for the Bridge Academy and,
Yeah.
and everything else that gets associated with
Yeah.
that.
I know ammo's expensive, but I was just, for some reason I thought it was like 5,000 for, that's why I was trying to figure out their hours. I was like, how much are they getting paid now?
Yeah,
That
no,
would
no,
use
no.
$5,000.
No, that's just expense.
Do
Not-
you happen to know how many hours? Well, it gets passed down through rank first, right? Is how you do overtime.
Right.
So rank, then
So-
person turns it down, then it would go to an auxiliary
Exactly.
officer.
They're the
So
next group.
so we pay time and a half
No.
for
They're
or-
26.
not them. I'm talking about when an officer takes
Oh, yes.
the shift.
Yeah, so
they
if a
get
full-time
time.
officer took it, it would be time and a half.
Time and a half.
and
Is there any way to not offer that
No.
and just do it to them first?
nice thinking, but that would put me in hot water with the union. Full time, and then then
Yeah,
it goes to them
Yeah,
afterwards.
okay. It's the same as I'm in the carpenters union. Same thing. It's like
Yeah,
I'm a
no,
steward.
exactly.
So it's like if you guys work Saturday and you didn't tell me,
Right,
I get paid for it.
Yeah.
I was supposed
Yeah.
to be here.
right. But imagine if now
I'm just trying to think.
there
how
are
to-
part-time
I'm
carpenters,
just
and you're
trying
like,
to
hey,
think.
let's bring them in first.
Just trying to think how to cut budget.
Yep.
That's it. You
Yep.
know, trying to think how to cut money.
Yep, already,
Everybody in town.
haven't been down that road, but
I know. Mhm.
thinking outside the box.
That's it.
Any idea how many hours actually got paid out to auxiliary?
I don't know that up.
No,
I'd have
we
to-
don't.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
we were cutting back shifts for officers, so I'm assuming all the officers took every opportunity they could to work it.
no, still we had shifts that went unfilled because nobody took it, because no one was interested.
So they weren't
So
working so much.
Yeah. some shifts don't get filled because we don't have it in the budget to fill it, and then other shifts will just go unfilled because it wasn't taken voluntarily, and that will go through the full-time, and the auxiliary officers, and then no one's interested, right, in probably Sunday morning, midnight, or
Right.
weekend midnight, midnight to
Middle
8.
of the summer.
If you have a full-time
Vacation.
job, and if you're a part-time guy, or you have something to do on a weekend,
Sunday.
you're like,
and-
yeah, no, well, it's Saturday night into Sunday,
Sunday, yeah,
midnight.
yeah. Oh,
So it's
yeah.
Saturday night at midnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Sunday, midnight to 8, that's the shift, so it's a weekend shift. And then if you have to work, on Monday or whatever else, it's like, okay, I already worked my regular job. If you're an auxiliary, now do I want to ruin my whole weekend by stepping up and helping out the team here?
Right.
And then getting my whole rhythm screwed up because now, okay, I'm going to be up from midnight to 8, and then I'm going to go home and be junk for all day Sunday, so...
So we're still not filling shifts because of finances still?
Yeah, it's dwindled down, and that is a point I'm gonna bring up.
You don't know all this off your hand by any chance, and I don't know.
What's that?
I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but when I got robbed a couple times, was it full shift?
I don't think one was,
I was just curious.
but I will tell you that. So, we have a number of job functions, right? And so those functions are kind of sometimes competing for ability to, prioritizing them. Yeah, we got to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We do a little bit of everything. So we were actually one street over on Legion Parkway. We were tagging cars that were illegally parked overnight.
Yeah.
For a certain stretch because
On the Whitman Town Facebook page.
if you follow it, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to balance, what we do on any given night, and so we were on Legion Parkway for a portion of that night, but we were pretty much all over the town because we can't, the DPW can't operate with cars up and down the street when it comes time. And if you don't kind of basically get everyone in tune with get off the street, then this is what happens. They're gonna, they'll go around these cars and we'll be tagging and towing all night long, and we still won't get the streets cleared. So the thing that we're trying to impress on people is get off the street and get in the habit of being off the street, and then we won't have to worry about this issue, or it'll be in pockets and small, one here, one there, as opposed to a street full of people.
Right.
So Bruce Martin lets us know, hey, these streets, we have problems with traditionally, and so that's where we go to kind of do enforcement, and anywhere else we are along in between. So it gets done. But this particular night, we were kind of out there because I think we were expecting a storm, and then you got to kind of wake people up to the effect of, it's not going to work. It's just, so that's what we were doing for a portion of that morning when restoration got broken into the first time.
Same guy, right? Was that right?
Same guy, yeah, there was a window left open that he must have either known about or maybe he unlocked it.
Yeah, while he was in
And,
there.
yeah, so good work by these guys who eventually tracked him. We tracked him down he turned himself in, but we had tracked him down ahead of time and gave him
the
opportunity to come in. So it wasn't like we sat on our hands and like one person on Facebook. It's like, yeah, pat yourself on. There's always one in the crowd. But anyways, and he was one of the people who got ticketed that morning.
Oh, of course.
So,
That's why.
you can imagine the motivation. Oh, they're tagging me, but they didn't catch the guy who broke the 12.
Yeah.
If
And
you,
then the time of morning was kind of like, could have been, obviously, you would have to see someone climbing in the window. But
Yeah.
if someone's in, it was like 4:35 in the morning. We nailed it down to. So someone could be legitimately in there.
Yeah.
So even if we drove by and saw someone in there,
Openly
it's like,
blaze
yeah, the guy's opening up. I don't know, he must work there, right?
Yeah.
No alarms went off or anything like that. So we're at a disadvantage. But we did, we have solved some things recently that I will give these guys and, pat on the back for all their hard work, including, parking tickets. No one wants to be a parking enforcement if we can.
Yeah.
We can avoid it. But it's a necessary evil. So we have to go out and we just do it because it needs to be done. We don't have to be happy about
Well,
it.
it's also said, it's stated, December, there's dates and times to
Multiple
not be
December.
on the street,
Yeah, yeah. People got have every excuse under the sun that.
My neighbors, they pull on their lawn, like, you know what I mean? Like, they
pull
start
on my
pulling on,
lawn
they start
occasionally.
pulling on their lawn.
I got to get in and get out, but
Yeah.
I have to go around some other cars,
Yeah.
that are in the driveway. So
We have a single car driveway. I mean, my wife parked like this. I'm driving across the lawn to get out some mornings.
exactly,
You know?
yeah. So you make do for the time being. There are other parking issues that come up even throughout the year, parking on sidewalks and everything else. And we try to give a lot of people a benefit, but there are those times and certain people who will just continue to do it. So that's where we are on that. Back to the budget to a certain extent. So the bottom half is salaries. You correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy. In the purple there, those are step raises included, and then that's what each one adds up to. There's a salary with incentive, which is educational incentive that's part of the contract, depending upon what level of education you have, and then it's total in that third column. And so that was 26, and then 27 is the far right, the same calculations. And then in the green box,
So actually, real quick, is that third column, just like you were saying, my eyes are getting bad too.
Yeah.
Is that with is that holiday?
Yes.
so there's
Perfect.
part of the contract
Yeah.
is holiday pay, so there's 12 days of holiday pay included, and that's by contract. And so if you work it, or if you are working, you're getting paid for it, and you're working it. And if you have it off, you still get paid for that day. It's just
time if they work it.
effectively it's double time, yeah. But it's paid out in two increments. There's a December one and a June, so it's 6 of each. So it happens on separate occasions, not on the holiday itself.
That's the incentive, or is that just holiday pay?
It's holiday.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just for the holiday pay. The incentive is
Getting
your educational
for education.
benefit, right? And that's what the total looks like down at the bottom. And then we come to shifts not filled. I want to say that says 216. Is
Yes.
that right, Tracy?
Yes.
And if you have last year's, I think it was 300 and some odd. So we have been moving in the right direction. So instead of me saying 300 to 700, I'm going to be saying, it's this number to,
Does that
to whatever.
factor in last night's approval?
It, so going back to what I said last night is, this is how I do this every year. And I add in the shifts that we didn't fill. It's actually it's not this current year, it's the year before, just to kind of leapfrog it, because I don't know how this year is going to end. So I go to the last full year.
So that's FY '25.
Yes.
Okay.
And this,
sorry.
we're going into 27, so we're in 26 right now.
Sure.
We're only halfway through. If I can't present you, I mean, I
You
could
can make a
guess,
guess,
but
yeah.
I'm not there yet. But the number is trending down, which is good. And so that the additional numbers from last night were to kind of fill the shifts that were still light for this year, because I was starting to get nervous. And the other article was to get us the difference. We put in the placeholder, but some other things came out in negotiations that kicked that number up to the tune of that 26,000 number on one end, and then the other was on the clothing allowance went up. And I couldn't speak on this a week ago, but now we can, because it's all been squared away. So so we end up with the salaries line and the expense line, which is in dark, back to the request for FY27, and that's what the picture looks like. Give or take, if something else happens, or Tracy's been working on this nonstop pretty much for
About a week.
Yeah, for the whole week. So
So the 3.215 would be filling all of your shifts.
what's that?
The all other services departmental requests for FY27 would be to fill all your shifts,
Yes.
with that green box being the calculation of how you got there.
Yes,
Got it.
exactly.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, so we added in the shifts not filled with that lower number, obviously, is the... How many is that again, Tracy?
216?
216,
Yeah.
yeah. And then adding that in at the average overtime rate. And I've explained this in years past, like, I don't take the top number, like the top step lieutenants pay for overtime, and use that for this calculation, or the bottom step person, it's in the middle.
Yes.
Because I can't decide, whether...
Who's going to take it?
Exactly. So we that's basically an average. So if the higher paid officers who have more longevity, if they take all of these shifts and the new guys don't, obviously that makes a difference. But as I've said before, that's how we kind of navigate how we come into the finish line on June 30th and try and make it on or under budget, is deciding, hey, on a Tuesday during the day, we're not going to fill this shift because we can't, budget-wise. We'd like to, but we can't. And last year, we did pretty well. And then there are those shifts that just don't get filled because nobody takes them. So that was what kind of, I guess, brought us to the finish line more than anything last year, was that it's like a snowball effect. So if we force people to come into work because someone's out injured, or missing a body because we haven't put someone through the full-time academy yet, so they're on standby, someone retired, someone's at the academy, so now their shifts between the time they retired and the time we put that body in position, if we don't fill those, and then someone takes another shift off, we're kind of behind the eight ball. So that creates burnout for these guys. So then they end up getting forced. So you were working a day shift or a 4 to 12, and now you're forced on another 8-hour tour. Mm-hmm. And if it's a 4 to 12 into a midnight to 8, you are junk after that. And so now you're probably not going to be available for the next couple of days based on, number one, your schedule, and if those are your 2 days off, same thing. Now I worked this overnight that I wasn't preparing for. I'm not going to want to work, the next 3 days potentially, just because I had to work 16 straight. And so that kind of plays into it. So then that body you take not interested, and then whoever else might have done that as well. So burnout kind of procreates itself.
Sorry.
No worries.
How often do you have to force? Or is there a situation that would make that happen?
Yeah. So we could approve someone's overtime. I want to go to Barbados for a week, right? So that if those shifts are not filled, and then we get hit with the flu,
Yeah.
and 2 people call in sick. Now we're at okay. We have 3 people out on the shift. There's only 1 left. We have to order 2 bodies,
Gotcha.
potentially, or we float out all 3, but. Whether someone takes it voluntarily or not, which is part of that burnout overload, if nobody's interested for all those reasons, now you're on top of that, the last guy on the shift is going to get forced into the new shift, which is going to do what? Create more burnout and more, they're not going to be available shifts moving forward. So that's kind of how it rolls, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that we have with
How can you?
under budgeting.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. I was gonna say, what is your hand with the union and being able to like force? Like, what do you actually have for force to make someone work? Like, don't they have a union like rule to be like for them to say like I'm not working, or do you just say I'm not going to approve your Barbados trip?
Yeah, no. So
You gotta
hopefully,
fill
hopefully
the
that
shift.
Barbados trip, we knew about it,
Yeah.
in advance. So that's like, yeah, you really need that. Everyone needs their time off.
Yeah.
And then this circumstance, right, happened where okay, now we don't have a choice but to. So in some cases they do it kind of on their own. They'll kind of like, hey, can you really,
Yeah.
Can you come in?
cover this? Yeah.
Or, when it does come to that point, it's low man, and they understand
Yeah.
that we're public safety, and
Right.
it's by necessity. It's not by design.
Yeah.
Do you legally have to have so many people on shift? Is a state mandate?
No, but then you're talking liability.
There's no state mandate for that?
I don't think there is, but just kind of common sense. We're not gonna have, which I think I've said this before, but it's a person on the desk. We have a desk officer, not a civilian, not a something else, and two officers on the road. That's the minimum. So 1 for each side of town, and then they're usually not going to be as proactive as they normally would because they're kind of minding the store, so to speak. They're going to answer calls. If they get jammed up with something or they pull a car over and their license is suspended, now you're probably towing a car, maybe you're making an arrest,
Right.
and now you're basically taking yourself off the road. Now we're down to 1 person, even though there's 2 on the road. So that kind of creates its own set of issues. So we try not to do that if we can help it at all, but we do find ourselves in those circumstances from
I
time
think
to
that could be
time.
very dangerous, though. If you have like you said, pull over a vehicle and it escalates, you might need the second officer. Now,
Yeah.
nobody.
Yeah, at the very least. Now we're calling other towns, for assistance. So there were, back in the day when I first started, I actually worked a shift by myself on the road. Fortunately, nothing much happened, as I recall, anyways. But it was the desk officer and myself. So that was a midnight to 8. Forgettable, hopefully, but that can't happen anymore. So we are not going to allow that to happen. At least they have
Not safe.
1 backup officer, and that's probably really isn't enough. And then, I can't predict when emergencies happen. They happen when they happen. If I could predict them, would be great. I would, we wouldn't need potentially officers from this hour to that hour, and then when something happened, it'd be like, okay, jump, put 5 of you on it. There are times when we have a full commitment of staff. We're fully staffed according to our schedule, that we get overwhelmed as well. If there's multiple things going on at or in similar, back-to-back calls that overlap, a crash at 18 and 27, and then a domestic somewhere else, that's, even if we had 3 officers and a detective, you're sending 2 to each. And then if something else comes in, you're either calling for out of town, or you're, depending upon what it is, on standby, or now you're leaving one officer, hey, you got this, I'm going to go answer that other call. Now you're further dividing yourself into, I'll take this, you go to do that. But then again, that could need backup, and now you're constantly running short. So we do pretty good with what we have.
Which is 25 members, right?
There's 26 from the chief down.
Question though.
Yeah.
Your first year patrolman, is that somebody to be hired, or is there anybody in the academy now, or is that just...
That is, so
Just got out of the cap that we went through last year, right? Isn't that-
you got proactive on that, right?
Yeah, I think I did.
So that is our upcoming retirement on this February. There is going to be, that's it.
Okay, so somebody's
That is a
retiring in
position.
February, and that'll be the replacement.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yep, which is going to take,
So it's not a net gain, it's just to bring it back.
it's flat, but we're going to have to potentially fill those shifts, like I mentioned earlier, until that person comes out of the academy, does field training,
Yeah.
and then gets assigned to a shift.
So will that so will that go through the ranks, get offered to people in the ranks, and then go to auxiliary?
Yes, yeah, for overtime, depending upon.
Yeah, to fill the shifts
Yeah.
for retiree.
Is the person retiring like a sergeant or anything?
No,
It's gonna be
patrolman.
Patrolman. You allowed to say the name or?
John Curtin, yeah.
Wicked
Yeah.
nice guy. Is he finally going to Carolina?
He is, yeah. He's
for him.
he's going to have a good time for himself.
Yeah,
He's,
good for him.
Nice.
Yep. So that's in anticipation of that, and another officer who is contemplating it sometime in July or after the fiscal year starts. So I'm going to be requesting 2 officers to go through at the same time. So if I wait till someone actually their retirement date to start the hiring process, we're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit. And then, so it's the civil service process, it's the background check, it's vetting, it's all that, putting them through the paces, medical, there's some physical tests they have to do, enrolling them in an academy, psychological, and then they can start the academy, which is roughly 5 months, and then they come out for a couple of 3 months of field training. So it's about a year from the time I ask and then depending upon when the academy starts, this next academy is in June. So one will be basically, the process will have started hopefully before John actually retires, but we won't have someone in an academy probably until June or 2. And so one will be kind of before they actually retire, and one is after. So, but and all that has to do with is the timing of it, and when you start the process, if they're already retired, it's just going to push that overtime, to the full, 5 months of academy plus field training. So 9 months from the time probably they enter the academy. So you're looking at close to a year. But certainly nine months of paying overtime to fill shifts, as opposed to if you start the process early before they actually retire, now you're shortening that
Right.
time.
that timeline.
Could
So
you
instead
ever
of-
get applicants to fully qualified police officers?
So
We're seeing, some of the big cities are losing.
Well, they'd probably
officers.
come with incentive pay right off the bat, right?
So that would be what we would call a transfer. And I haven't really looked for transfers.
No.
It could be an option if we were really strapped, like if we needed a whole bunch of officers. I would probably, if we needed 6 officers, I can't necessarily hold off putting 6 through. I would probably put that out there where it's 1 or 2 at a time. I'd rather kind of pick off the list and
You can also teach them the
And
way
that-
you
that
want
way.
things done too. Bring them up
Yeah.
through the ranks.
yeah, they're
that you
fresh. They
guys-
don't have any the way it was done
We used to
somewhere
do
else,
this.
or-
This is
I
how
don't
we
wanna
used to
say that.
Typically, are they younger
Yeah.
too? Typically, they're younger, guys coming into the.
What,
Yeah, yep.
Question on
Sean
the,
had-
sorry,
Yes.
in the last few minutes here, the expense in utilities, you've got flat compared to last year, but utilities went up 45% the year before that. Is that realistic?
No.
Is that, yeah, so, I mean, like, are you,
Why did I do that?
how can you make do, yeah.
I did that because I was asked to do that. There is probably, I guess the easiest way to say that is money is probably going to come from somewhere else. I'm going to need a transfer from one of these other lines, and I will figure that out probably closer to the end of the year. Yeah, the occupancy line. Yeah, I was asked to keep that flat, and that's what I did.
Okay.
So that wouldn't have been the number I put in there necessarily, but we're trying to, balance everybody's budget. We can't do it by ourselves, but we try and do it in conjunction with everyone else. So the town administrator asked us to do that. Put in your COLA, the contractual stuff, and kind of go from there. Keep everything flat. So. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but she was excited to see this budget, as far as that went anyways.
I mean, your total overall increases are only 3.2%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for us to manage that, I'm hoping there's something somewhere else that can be transferred at the end of the, it's not an exact science,
Sure.
so I could,
Right.
I don't want to shut shifts off, but I do it when we have to make the budget work. And that's how we've kind of survived this whole process over the years.
Yeah.
When I was the deputy chief in 2012, so that's where I really first got into this whole process with the chief at the time, and he's like, here's how we're doing this. We're not filling shifts, which equals money that is spent elsewhere in the town. I don't get to decide where that is, but in order to balance the budget, that's how we kind of handle it, and he called it
Skin in the game.
skin in the game. Yeah, it's
Called
been
it the skin in the game.
Yeah, and so what I did was he just said, it's this many shifts, right? But nobody knew what that meant.
Yeah, it was.
So
You've kind of really put given everybody understanding and put some numbers behind it.
Yeah, so I put the dollar amount, but then, he would go up in the budget, obviously, but I'm going up this is based on need, this isn't based on wish lists or anything else that people have come up with over the years, this is the wish list, this is not the wish list, this is...
Yeah, we haven't. Luckily, wish lists have definitely not been a term used much the last few years.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of figured that out. And so on the other side of, capital articles that will be coming up, and I'm trying to figure out how to manage those, but we put in for a car cruiser to be replaced every year.
Do you expect to do? Are you
We
putting that in again
sidelined,
this year?
I already did that. A couple of other things that we're trying to do. So we're going to have to, we replace our ballistic vests every 5 years. They basically expire. That's when they consider them to be expired. And so those run, it was $895 5 years ago. I just looked up the prices again. They remained at $895, but I reached out to the distributor and I said, are we still good here, or 'cause that doesn't look right? And he said, I would budget for a little bit more, for about $950. So I haven't put that out yet. I know we're going to be short. The backside to that is it's reimbursable through state and federal grants to a certain amount. The state, one of them, the last time around was about 16,005, which I forget, do the math, figure out how many vests that is, but that would be,
It's not 25 of them.
no. And we would need, with the auxiliaries and the specials that we have, we'd be looking at 40, not 26. So
roughly 40,000 to do
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And so 16.5, so we might get 32,000 back, but I have to ask for the full amount first, and then it gets reimbursed afterwards, so it comes back to the town. So that is kind of like, well, the liability of not wearing or wearing an expired vest is one, in case something, something bad happens and we went beyond them. So those are due like a year from now, but that's still within the FY27 budget. Could I push it to a special? I guess so, but at the end of the day, I'd rather be like, here it is.
Try to
So
be, a little
I'm
bit
gonna
ahead of the game.
calculate it
Be ready for it.
for the spring, so that's going to be an additional capital request that I'm looking forward to.
You said tasers too, right?
Tasers, we are standing by on tasers, so we have tasers, and the good thing about tasers is their reputation. So when we didn't have tasers, we had to use alternate methods of less lethal, right? Pepper spray, we had batons, and obviously personal weapons to take somebody into custody who was combative. And now with when tasers came out, we did the first 6, and then we assigned them to the shift. So no one had their own taser per se, and then we added to that. So now everyone has their own, which decreases the wear on them, and they still have that reputation, if you will. So when people hear taser or they see a taser on your belt, that's much more of a deterrent than actually using it. So we went from using it quite a bit to now we might threaten use, but when necessary and when called for, but we don't use them as much as we did. So it's on our belt, and people notice them. And from any video that you've ever seen, nobody wants to get tased.
Rather,
It works in our favor.
I'd rather be tased than having a baton.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Though.
Yeah, well,
those
that's
batons.
personal preference, maybe.
Those batons that you guys used to carry are absolutely.
And there's one more piece. So a lot of departments have gone to optics on their firearms, and that's what we're looking at as well. And what that does is, again, liability and thinking in terms of an officer-involved shooting. And we had the representative out, and we shot their gun with the optics. So the optics is, back in the day, if you watched the Terminator and you saw the lasers flying all over the place, and then you could see the laser dot on you. This is an optic through a viewfinder, and you see the red dot pointed at wherever on the target, but there's no laser line. And what that does, it just increases accuracy to near 100%. So we were on the range, and if you're scoring, 85, 90 is 92 is pretty good for a score. And then here, try these, and nobody was missing.
They're awesome.
Yeah. So.
The infrared as opposed to laser based.
That's a good question.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
It's almost like a hologram.
Yeah, it's holographic.
Just like
Yeah.
there.
Financially, how much are those?
So we would be offsetting those with what we carry now. So I don't even remember.
We have to replace the firearm as well.
So we'd have to
An
replace,
integrated unit.
so we would go from, we carry 45s now, and we carry Glocks. And so to switch, Glock has a specific, it's a 9mm, and they have a specific optic that goes in the top slide, and they made it integrated, so it's all one. So it's not an add-on per se, they manufacture it that way.
Is it a police special?
It still slides into a groove
Yeah.
in the slide, but it's made for each other, basically,
Glock.
instead of an add-on afterwards.
Right, which would probably be
So it's not
clunky.
aftermarket, but
Right.
then you have to replace the holster because now you have
Right.
the optics on top, and it's not going to fit in the holster, and then you're changing the caliber of firearms. So going from 45, the magazine pouches change size because now it's not as big and bulky, and it weighs less.
So you're
anymore.
going from
So,
45 to 9mm?
Yeah.
A little cheaper.
A little cheaper, yeah.
Ammo,
A
yeah.
little cheaper, a little lighter. it's gonna cost us some money,
Money in the-
but
yeah.
not crazy. And because we just did this special last night, now I'm kind of gearing towards kind of getting that done, hopefully.
Would that be staggered or all at once?
No, we would do department-wide, yeah. Have to do it all at once, because we all need to carry the same thing. It can't.
Do you get anything back for your weapon? Does everybody own their weapon, or would you
No,
sell
it's
theirs?
owned by the department.
So would the
We
department make anything back
we
with the
would,
sale
it's
of
a,
it?
yeah, it's a trade.
Trade?
You trade in this one and get, so it offsets.
Okay.
But it's still going to be a cost.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And as far as everything else goes, we try and manage that within the budget. So before we were asking for patrol rifles, and I think the last thing, not sure if we did shotguns. I think we did those within the department itself in the expense line. So I try to maintain that and get as much equipment that we can replace through the annual budget as opposed to
Those 20 articles.
putting through articles. Because
Yeah.
you used to see, any number of articles, which would include cruisers,
Yeah.
this, that, and the other thing. And someone said, "What? Do you have money in the budget?" So I took a look
Yeah.
at that, and sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I try to be as conservative as we can be on the expense line. Tracy's shaking her head. I didn't pay her to do that, but she knows. So we'll hold off and see where we stand. But that's the gist of it. And like I said, it's not an exact science, so at the end of the year, we might have to move from one line to the next to cover one or more of these lines before coming back to the town and saying, "Hey, we need more money for this." One year, a couple of years ago, I asked for and got an additional $90,000. That's because, like I said, we didn't have academy training in the budget, and so 2 academies kind of crossed. So I was paying for 4 officers in an academy. So we had 26, but I was paying for 28 people because some of them either hadn't gone yet or they did go, but had open spots. So now I'm paying overtime out and overlapping and training. So it was like taking on 2 additional officers for a shorter time, but still 4, not 2. And like I said, we'll probably be going to shoot for 2. One will be after the fact, and one will be a little bit before, just to get it in line. It's just easier to do 2 background, or you end up doing multiple background checks, but to get 2, the formula is different for civil service. So they widen the pool when you ask for 2 as opposed to ask for 1. So then we can figure out where we're going to land and who we're going to take in.
I know we've gone a little over.
Sorry.
I did have one question
Yeah.
for you about future. We always kind of look at the budget for how do we get through the next year. We've got some pretty big growth projects planned here in the town. And my question is, put on your crystal ball outfit, what does the police force look like if they do that big building that they're talking about down there by the railroad tracks? Just general growth. Is there anything that you see that doesn't fit this zero growth level funding stuff? Where are we exposed? Where are you, which means we are all exposed for?
Well, basically through this, we're exposed through not having the proper staffing to start with. So if we want to start anywhere, fully fund this thing, and then we'll be as good as we can for right now, which is a lot better than where we've come from over the years. And this committee has seen that over the years. It's been making increments, right? There were 3 years that we took hits. 2 of them were back to back. I think I've explained this. One was the year I took over, and then the very next year, I don't remember those exact percentages, but it was less than the year prior, and that was 2 back-to-back years. There was one back in the mid-teens somewhere. And this past year, coming into 26, it was a very short margin. It was like under 1% that we got increased. So if we can start there, if you're talking about adding more officers, that may be the case at some point. I can tell you other nearby big cities, they just stack calls for potentially the next shift. So it might be you're calling for something that's on a lower level, but you're not going to get a response for 3 hours. And then eventually it'll come down off of the computer, and when someone gets free, they'll come by and say, I'm here to take a report.
Right.
And, obviously not necessarily of an emergency nature. If it's emergency, kind of everyone goes and gets tied up. I don't want to ever get to that point, and we really haven't. So I think we're doing pretty good. So I guess we start at square one by fully funding the budget, and then we get...
Just to be clear, when we say fully funding, you're asking for this. This is fully funded, what you're submitting?
As far as I know.
Yeah, and
So we just put this together. Like I said, Tracy was working very hard to incorporate some of the changes in the contract to reflect in the system here. And so she had to do 26 because this year wasn't resolved because it's a 3-year contract, and then piggyback that off of onto 27. So,
But to be fair, this budget plus, you've already identified vests, firearms, optics, you get a vehicle. There's other things that aren't in this budget. They're covered through capital acquisitions and others.
Right.
So, to me, that's really fully funded,
yes.
as opposed to get here and then go trade my soul for money over here and there. And
Yeah.
so,
Like I said, I've been part of this process for the police side since 2012. So I guess I'm used to, here's my number, and then somebody's going to get a red pen out, and they're going to tell me what we're left up with. And that's just the reality of town financing. And you all are,
Yeah.
or you should know it. And
No, yeah.
if you're new, then you will figure that part out. Not everyone's going to get exactly what they're looking for. And I understand that probably more than most, coming from a department head perspective. I understand it, and my thing has always been how can we help, not I need this and I need that. It's just, and I don't know if you call that a luxury of, that's how we are able to manage it. I'm managing it to the best of our ability. It's what service do you want, at what level, and obviously the price tag has something to do with it. So that's really the balancing act within the police department itself, is how to make all of those things happen, but not just for us, for everyone else as well. So that's the perspective I come from anyway, just a little.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
Any other questions? Obviously, you know where to find me, and if there's any other burning questions or otherwise, or you just want to stop in and say hi, feel free.
appreciate everything that you and the department do, and you keeping them all.
Yeah.
I know who's really running the police department.
Well, Scott has said that in the past. Just
Oh, yeah.
carrying the torch.
Yeah.
She makes it all work.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Kept the seat.
Do you guys need a couple of minutes or okay to sit down?
Roll.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Keep your roll.
How's it going, everyone?
All right. How are you?
I don't know. You guys probably do have.
Not. If you got paper, pass them over.
I do. We're hopefully gonna keep it pretty simple for you guys.
Actually, I think what we had was the old one anyway.
Yeah, is this
Yep.
the one you had that updated?
Yes, it was
that you
after I sat
emailed?
with Mary Beth.
And it was-
We had to figure out the exact number for a step increase for the administrative assistant down there.
Yeah.
So that's the update. It was $116 change. So the big bucks.
Yeah.
Everything counts. We'll just kind of zip around with just quick introductions. We do have some new members on the finance team. So I'm Mike
Sounds good.
Warner.
Chuck Colby.
I'm Mike Andrews.
Jason Hufford.
Mike Flanagan.
Anthony,
Kevin Wolf.
Danielle Clancy, Chair of the Board.
Dan Kelly, Health Inspector.
And recording secretary is still Elizabeth.
All righty.
All right.
Well, what do you got for us, sir?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's going to be pretty short and sweet for you. So obviously, as we all know, Mary Beth asked us to submit level funded minus the salary lines. We did do that this year. I mean, now obviously in an ideal world, we would get some of those hours back, especially for the administrative assistant that were cut back last year. Not naive to know that's probably not in the cards this year with everything going on. And then obviously the other thing is I don't think fiscal 27 will be a spot where we'll need it, but I do imagine with having talks, especially with the household hazardous waste disposal there, that's a program through South Shore Recycling Cooperative. We do kind of expect next year for just the general cost of that to go up. We get pretty close to that $3,700. That's all just based on how much the town uses it. It's a free service to the town. That's if you have old paint, oil, gas, fluorescent light bulbs, tires, you can bring it to there, get rid of them. Town pays for it. So again, that's completely. We might get 100 residents that use it throughout the year. We might get 150, and that's where
It's great
that
service.
can
I've
get
used it.
tight.
I've gone to Hanson. I've done it here. And
Yeah, they do. Normally now it's about 6 collections in the spring, 6 in the fall. We actually did it to bring the cost down a couple years ago. We do it with East Bridgewater, Hanson, and Abington. And basically the way that brought the cost down, when you host, you pay a setup fee. And then also, obviously, if you're the host town, if it's right in Whitman, you get more people. So the 4 of our towns kind of combined, and basically the host switches every year. We're not up next year, but the year after. And actually now, if you're the host, the other 3 towns split that bill, so you don't have to pay the host fee every year. Well, you pay it 3 out of the 4 years, but it's at a reduced rate. So that's why we combined a few years back just to try to save there.
Is this your second year? Or did you just?
No, this
yeah,
is, I
time
think,
flies. Is
my
it 4 or 5?
5 or, I think 5th time sitting up here with
Alright.
you guys. So
Yeah.
No,
He's been the
this one
steadiest
was
one.
like- I wasn't sure.
yeah.
Declan and
Yeah, Declan is new,
Yeah,
but
his was-
I think he got to meet with you guys for the first time just
Second
recently,
year.
right?
his.
It's his second year,
Second
but
year,
yeah.
Yeah.
We met him for the first time right before town meeting.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Yep.
Last minute.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions or talk a little bit more in depth, especially obviously with the clerical hours.
Yeah,
coming
so
back.
on that, so with the clerical, this amount, is that with the reduction?
Yeah, so she does not work Thursdays anymore, which is that reduction. She actually only works until 3 on Wednesdays. So basically what that entails is obviously at the end of the day, Thursdays, we kind of gave her the option of like, listen, which day would you want off? And logically, Monday or Thursday is what everyone would wish for when we already have the Fridays off. She does a little something on the side because obviously her hours were cut and she needed to make some more money, so we didn't want to hinder her ability to work that other part-time job.
Oh, you didn't lose her, right?
Yeah, we didn't lose her. So,
That's a good thing.
and we don't want to lose her. She's great. She's great at her job. We love to have her all 4 days down there. She's so good at her job. But obviously, last year the hours were cut back. She went from at the time 28 to now 20. it's a tough hit. We still make it work. So essentially, normally on Thursdays, I'm the only one that's here. I try to stay in the office for most of the day. However, with everything that we do, there's obviously stuff that I don't want to sit over the weekend, whether it's a dog bite, a call from police or fire to come out and look at a home, whatever it might be. There's some stuff we don't want to sit over the weekend, or a resident calls a complaint about a neighbor who their trash is blown into their yard and it's been going on for months and it just won't stop. I don't want them to keep dealing with it over the weekend if we can help it. So then obviously then I'll kind of just put a sign up, health inspectors in the field. If you need them for an emergency, call this number. Otherwise, leave a note, voicemail, email, and we'll get back to you. So that's kind of how we're operating this 6 months so far.
They're reading. It's great.
Oh, it's pretty concise this last year. Not a whole lot of questions needed.
I'm just thinking about my neighbor that complains to me about our other neighbor's trash blows in the yard, and I always tell him to call you. I said, well, call the health inspector. He's too far away for me to call him.
A lot of people are reluctant to call sometimes.
Yeah.
but-
Well, he's like, he just doesn't think. He's like, I don't think that they'll do any. I'm like, he's busy anyways. Wait another year.
Yeah, does that hinder your time out for like inspections, restaurant inspections, and
I mean, obviously, it's just another thing. You gotta kind of time management. At the end of the day, if something absolutely has to be done out, I'm not gonna sit in the office and just wait for if someone comes in.
Yeah.
I just like to be there. I mean, obviously, I know how frustrating it can be, and I know the assessors are dealing with it now. I know there's a principal assessor down there, but they're not really working the window, and we have a ton of people come in when the one person that is working is out. I'm just like, hey, I need equipment. I'm like, yeah, there's only one person in there. So I get how frustrating it can be, because sometimes it takes people a lot of courage to build up and come in, because they come to us and they think they're being a pain in the you-know-what, and they're complaining about a neighbor. They feel bad. It took them months to finally come in. And they come in and I'm not there, and they said, it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
Or then they go upstairs and they're bothering the selectmen who don't have time and for it. So we try to be there and keep it open, but obviously if there's stuff that needs to get done, then the office just gets closed.
yeah, well, with the growth in the town too. I mean, we haven't had a lot. I mean, you get your new restaurants that open up. That's just another thing for you. I mean, we got what's going up with the building over here down below. I don't know if there's going to be any food service there.
I haven't heard yet, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, so it's
It was a big hit. It was a huge hit, and it's disappointing. It took us back 5 years. It's really disappointing. We worked hard to bring us up to where we were, and then it took us back 5 years.
Yeah,
Literally 5 years.
My first...
We've also, I'll let you speak 1 minute, I'm sorry. We've also cut our most 2 popular programs to the town, which was our Drug and Sharp Take Back, Drive-Through Take Back, that we did in conjunction with the police, and our free rabies. Well, it's not free, but it's very low cost rabies.
Which I've utilized.
The rabies clinic. We are not doing that anymore either. We don't have the funding to do it.
And that's those are the little things that
we can't do everything, and we've tabled everything that is not deemed essential.
Yeah. I don't know who makes those decisions in the end, too, but it'd be nice if...
There's no funding for us at all. We're basically low man on the totem pole here until another big outbreak comes along, and then everybody's going to want us.
Then you'll be the one.
Then we'll be the one, and measles looks like it's going to be it.
Yeah, it was...
So...
I started February 6th, so I'm coming up on that anniversary date. In that year, I actually sat here and then at town meeting, and at the time, Dina was only 3 days a week, and I got her up to 4, and then obviously last year we went back to 3, so it's kind of a blast from the past of those first few months I was here before town meeting in May, and then July 1 when obviously the funding came through. So it's definitely just, again, an adjustment.
And you guys have been very proactive over the years. I mean, you've worked well together, and it's nice to have stability and, like I said, proactive on trying to bring some programs.
Dan will tell you it's been an adjustment. I will tell you it's extremely, as a board chair, very disappointing to be in the position we're in right now.
Yeah.
Very disappointed. but there's nothing we can do. The town voted, and that's where we're at. So,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Town
That's-
meeting votes. And
Town meeting votes, and this is where what we're left with, you know. So, and then we get all the complaints why we're not doing this program, or
yeah.
doing this. So,
Because everybody voted. They voted for what they wanted.
Ask those people what they voted for.
well, we can't.
call.
That's rude. We'd like to, but that's really rude.
You gotta be blunt.
Oh, we just say due to budget cuts, due to budget cuts, due to budget cuts.
That's all you can say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate situation.
It is.
Because
It is.
I recognize what you guys have been building the last few years. So,
So you went down roughly $11,000 for that one position.
Correct.
If that was restored, what would that do?
I mean, it would give us the ability to continue probably some of those programs. It's pretty tough, and especially, I mean, I don't want to speak for her, but Dina used to volunteer hours to do things like rabies clinic stuff, and obviously we ended up getting some in an additional clerical line, and we'd pay her, because I'm like, you're not coming to work a Saturday for free when you're already paid almost nothing at your job as is. So then, of course, you really don't want her volunteering time, and she might not be so eager to anymore after having her hours cut, which I don't blame her, and I don't want to put her in a position where she feels like she's trying to do something for me, because that's not fair to her. So I think that's one of the big things. I don't want to ask her to, oh, hey, I'm doing this event Saturday, you think you could come out? I don't want to even ask that of her. So
I do have a question for you all, and it's not a question I expect you to answer, but our expense line has remained flat now for the last 2 or 3 years, yet our vendors keep increasing their prices. I'm not seeing how this is gonna, our circle's not gonna connect soon.
Yeah.
yeah. You were probably
2024, you were at 11,400.
well, if you were
Which was up from 23 at 6,400. So it went from 64 to 11, and then it went down to 10, and it's remained at 10 ever since.
I hate how they break it up on here. I know, I think in there the public health nurse is in under an expense, and
Yeah, that shouldn't be, but
No, I'm just looking at that one line.
Right,
So,
yeah.
You know, for that one piece. It is nice to be able to go back and see, because you can
right,
see.
right.
You know,
So, I mean, eventually this circle's just not going to close, and I don't know what's going to
What are
happen
your main
there.
expenses that go into that bucket?
Anything we purchase from anybody else, and, included in that was any advertising we did for programs, which we've dropped. But anything we purchase from anybody else, they are all increasing their expenses, and, my expenses, or Dan's expense line, has remained the same.
I've also been really lucky. I'm a part of a grant, the PN5. It's Plymouth Norfolk 5. It's Whitman, Brockton, Avon, Stoughton, and Abington, which through that grant, any training I've done, whether it's sewer, general food inspection, housing inspections, it's going to conferences down the Cape. If I were to stay in a hotel room, not that I always do, I always go back home and just go back down the next day, but that's all covered from the grant, which generally the town used to pay the old inspector to go. That was a grant that started a few months after I got on. I was approached by Marty Golightly, who's no longer in Abington. They've had quite a few changes. So I've been a part of that group, which has been great. That's also paid for just this year. Laptop for the department. 2 years ago, 2 iPads for the department. Brand new inspectional kit for me. So that's thermometers, flashlights, testing strips, which normally would be a town expense, but through that grant has been paid for. So like something like that, which is through 2027, we do have that funding, so we have that next fiscal year, but there has been talks from Mass DPH, as everyone's seen, especially with the big office down in DC, that funding's gonna probably go away after 27. They've already approached us to say, oh, we'd love for each town to go to everyone's town meeting and try to ask for some funding to keep the grant alive, which I very politely told him, I don't think that's going to happen, especially the number because it's one thing for Dr. Mondesir, who runs the department in Brockton, to go to the mayor in Brockton and ask for $20,000 to pitch in as a 1/5. I'm like, Brockton might have the money to do that, but Whitman does not. So eventually, after probably this budget, I might come in with a proposal. Hey, listen, I'm looking at, it's been 5 years since I've had new thermometers, this, that. I'll need to get new ones. Not that they're going to be super expensive, but you might be talking $400 to $600 to outfit a new bag. So that's just something to keep in mind.
I want to answer your original question, which was, yes, we've talked about it as a committee several times. Holding a zero growth for a year, that's feasible. It's still not great, but it's feasible depending on what's happening. But we're going into our third year of doing that. We're talking with other departments. Well, Chuck just asked the question about, you put in the same amount of money for was electricity or heating or something.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's not. But putting in a number that's unrealistic is the other side too. So
You asked to put that number in?
Yes, which this is the second year that we've been asked to submit
What
level funded.
what would that number be?
What do you think that number should be, or what's more realistic?
I mean, if you just look at this, the straight expense line of say the 3250, maybe a 5 to, I mean, realistically 5%. I don't know how much it's going to
Yeah.
be, but like $200 to $500, say somewhere in there. Like not looking for exponential, but it's also more. That budget, I do know our expense line, because at the end of the year, we have $300 left. And we say, hey, listen, because it's June, okay, in 2 months, we're going to be sending out all the new licensing packets to 50 plus businesses in town. Let's go on, buy the manila folders now, and get them now, and get any kind of, just whether you need new stamps, whatever it might be, especially even forever stamps now. I went to, we ordered some of the like 70 cents now, or something, I'm not sure what it is, but, and then when you're mailing out hundreds of licensing packets a year, it all just adds up over time. So, especially when the budget is that small.
So, yeah, and, that number should, there's no reason why that number should go up a little bit.
No, and I also, I remember last year the conversation about the animal inspector piece went from 500 down to 150.
Yep, and that's...
Well, guess what we have back in town again? Cows. Right?
Yep.
So we've actually expanded that.
Yeah, that's so I do all the barn inspections in town. I do them in roughly October. I think this year it was 28 I did. Obviously, a lot of them were just 5 chickens.
Sure.
Technically supposed to have a permit. I don't go after people, but so we do all those. But also, Hornstra this year was a big one. At the time, he didn't even, or maybe he did have the 4 cows at the time. I think he told me his max capacity is like 112 over there. He wants to only get to about 80.
Yeah.
But then he's talking about getting sheep, goats, chickens, basically the whole barn. So,
Fisher Place barn.
so that takes time. And then the big thing with the animal inspector, actually, which the reason that number's even in there is for when we do rabies quarantines. If Joe Kenny or Laura Howe do a rabies quarantine, they technically are eligible for, I mean, I am too, but I don't take it, eligible for a $30 stipend. And that's state. That's what the number is. It's been that number for a long time. Who knows if it will go up.
Per animal?
Yes, so basically if there's a dog bite, police call us out, or a lot of times if it's not so bad and they just go to urgent care, we get paperwork from the urgent care. We say, okay, the dog Daisy bit the son
Personally,
John.
I think he should take it because it's not his job. He's doing it as...
I mean, this is $150 here, so it's 5 quarantines. I've done 5 quarantines in the last 60 days.
We have animal
so,
control, so he really shouldn't be doing it. But that's another whole discussion for another whole
that's
day.
above my... they gave that to us a while back when there was... something happened with animal control and the quarantines.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I seem to remember that when we were doing the rabies before, that some of the payments of those shots came from you as well. You personally subsidized them.
Well, you can look at her for that.
I
when,
did that.
Yeah,
When we were doing the rabies clinic.
if someone...
I knew that
It was me.
it was not covered in here.
Yeah.
right?
It was me.
And I want to get that in the record. We're asking a lot from the members of the town's employees, and I think it's important to know that you didn't ask, you don't look for anybody to say anything, but I think it's important that people know that we had some of these functions, yes, was partially paid for by the town, but you're taking out of your own pockets to do that. So I'm with her, take the $30 if you're doing that work.
Yeah.
You're earning it.
As a recommending board, maybe a second year of a flat expense line, maybe it's time we recommend something higher.
I think.
You know,
The challenge-
some of these smaller departments where, you know, you're not talking $90,000, $100,000, but
Yeah, what were you
something
thinking?
might make a difference.
200 and 500, you were thinking?
Yeah, even if it was
10% is
$250.
$325.
Yeah, I mean, and then obviously you get to town meeting and people say, why the 10% increase? So,
Yeah, the
Well,
numbers
they don't
get skewed.
understand the
Yeah,
10%
they look
for
at
these
that,
little
yeah.
departments of
And-
everything.
I'm sitting right here and
$150.
reading your body language. You are just disappointed.
I am disappointed.
And
We
she
worked
wasn't that way
hard.
3 years ago. You know, these guys were in here.
We were doing great things
They were
3
doing
years
great,
ago.
and so maybe this is, we should remember some of this, and when it comes time to, look at Article 2.
Yeah.
I mean, we would definitely appreciate any
We
consideration.
do. We appreciate anything
Departments like,
we can get at this
them
point.
in recreation where really
Little dollars go.
people, yeah, little dollars go a long way, and it really reaches out to a lot of the people in the town. It is something they, we do support public safety very, very well, but not everybody needs a policeman or a fireman all the time, but, so just something to think about.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Other questions? Oh,
You just mentioned something about the recreation fund, and they have a revolving fund. Board of Health have any type of access to something like that?
And is there?
No, I mean, I don't think, I would be pretty surprised if the town administrator, not that I would expect them to, would be open to something like that on our
revolving
end.
fund for
Obviously-
exceptional fees,
Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, it is a conversation that we could have, I suppose.
Well, yeah,
it's a good question.
Yeah.
it is.
You have fees, right? You charge fees, so you
No, we
you
have lots
you
of
have
fees.
income
Yeah,
in your department. We don't see that in this, right? This is an expenditure budget
yeah.
only.
Yeah, it only goes in the annual town
Do you
report,
have
obviously.
a rough idea or what?
So your
I
inspection.
know.
It
Oh,
goes going to local receipts.
So
We
I
have all
know-
the food trucks too.
yeah, we do. I think just if you talk about food service, food retail, and mobile food vendors, we did close to 100 licenses last year. Those range from 75 to 225 a year. And then actually last year the board voted on it, which was great because we had so many issues with people submitting stuff so late. And then it would just be me, Dina, give me a list. Hey, you need to go to these 10 people and bug them to submit X, Y, or Z. So the board actually adopted, which was great, late fees. So essentially the day someone is late with their licensing paperwork, they owe us half the license and then $1 a day accruing. Now obviously if people are talking to us before the deadline, they say, listen, my insurance guy, he's really holding me up on my workers' comp. Like he's saying he should have it by the 3rd of January, but it's due January 1st. Yeah, we're gonna waive them for the people if they're being reasonable. At the end of the day, we're here to work with the people of Whitman. That's the businesses and the residents included. We don't want to kind of put the screws to anyone. But obviously, we have some people that it's January 15th. On November 1st, we sent them a full packet and a digital packet. And then from there, we sent 3 emails through the permitting software. And then it's the week of Christmas or the week after I'm coming in, hey, if you get the paperwork to us now, like, we'll help you out. And nothing. And then they submit it February 2nd and they're complaining they're getting charged late fees. So I do know when we did that, it increased the revenue department by about like 50%. I don't want to say a number off the top of my head, but I will pull it because I know I have it downstairs and I can email it to you guys.
Worth the conversation.
Yeah.
Every dollar everybody makes goes in.
Because worth the conversation because they do generate revenue for the
Right.
town, like some of
And it
the
would
other
go back
departments,
to the taxpayers
And
using the services.
by
that we're
using
no
the
longer
services that they're gonna
Yep.
put it back in on. Then you wouldn't have to, have a 10% increase
100
showing up.
licenses at $200 a pop, there's 20 grand right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it went because we also upped our fees at that time because they hadn't been upped in I think it was like 6 or 7 years, and they were pretty low. We went about middle of the pack. We took like 10 surrounding towns like Rockland Avenue, the Bridgewaters, Pembroke, and just kind of went middle of the pack of those. And then basically when we talked at that time, we're like about every 3 years we'll look at them, make sure we're in a good middle spot. We don't want to be exorbitantly high, but we also don't want to be way too low. So that's kind of the philosophy there.
Do you use any supplies when you're doing any of this work? I mean, I'm assuming you have to go in and, like, for restaurants, you might have to take a germ reading, things like that.
So you got a
things
kit.
like that.
Yeah, so I got stuff paid for through a grant. Generally, most stuff, once you have your equipment, you're kind of good to go for that point. We would do swabs and stuff if some place was extremely dirty. We obviously have a couple of, I don't want to call them bad apples, but the repeat offenders that we keep a very good eye on. And then we have, thankfully, in Whitman, a lot of places that do a really great job. And obviously for that,
Yeah,
paperwork, you provide
I'm
paper.
just trying to think through what Elizabeth brought up. I mean, if you were able to say that, in general, we spend, let's say it's $100 for a license, but it costs us about $10 in equipment through the tests. So there's a great way to come back and say, of the $100 fee that we receive, give us 10% back, because that'll cover the cost of the equipment and things that we do, which really aren't covered in here,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I can absolutely do that.
Yeah. I'm with you, Chuck. Let's get that as much. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just give us an idea so we have something to have
Start
a
a conversation with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the bottom line is there should be a little bit something else going on here. In my opinion.
Just remind me, I need to renew the youth soccer organization's snack shack inspection. We're overdue.
See, we're nice to those guys. We
Dina's
waive
very nice.
their fee for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
We pay the fee, but she's been nice on the late fees.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Depends on. Oh, you soccer. Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, no. I mean, I've said it all along since I've been here. I grew up in Whitman. I lived here for like 17 years. I live in Hanson now, and I'm here to try to serve the people of Whitman and make sure if they do have any kind of experience with the health department, it's a good one. That's the same with all the business owners to the residents. So obviously in this department, you can't make everyone 100% happy, but we try and try to be reasonable at least. So.
Make them safe first and happy second.
Exactly.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming in. And
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having us.
we speak for us. We do appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
We appreciate everything that you both are involved in and keeping things right here in town, and your own sacrifice and your time that you're putting in. We're going to try and see if we can come up a way maybe to try and address
Something
some of
to
these.
not have somebody so unhappy at their job, at what
He's
she's
just
doing.
silent next year.
And
Yeah. Hey, well, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good luck in
Thank you for
the
considering.
rest of the budget process.
Yeah,
Good
Gives you a
luck
long
to
nights
you.
ahead.
We appreciate what
Yeah,
you
thank
do.
you.
Alrighty, thanks.
Thanks, Happy New Year.
See you, yeah.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Alrighty, we're just about, we are at 8, trying to keep it down. We'll hold off on minutes. I know Liz, you sent out a couple of
yeah, we
minutes
got some
there.
yesterday.
Yeah, so why don't we put that as first thing next week. We'll come in and we'll kind of run through those. Next week we have kind of a full night. We have fire and emergency services, then library, then we've got a few minutes break in there, but it may not happen, and then we have the appeals board and the conservation committee. So there's a lot in there. We'll see fire and services. I think that might be a little easier now because the big thing was the same thing as the police. Is they just didn't have the money to actually make it to the end of the year. So we'll see. One thing I do want y'all to think about is how do we talk with the select board? I started to say at the beginning, but traditionally what happens is we get, here's the budget, finance committee, yes or no, that's it. So we don't get the ability to go back and say, can we change some of these line items?
No, technically, since you've been involved, we haven't had that luxury. In the past, we would have the time, if we get it done before town meeting, we're in somewhere in April, where we can sit down and go over every line.
Yeah.
And we can go over these lines, and we could say, that expense line, that's not right. We really think we should give them 10%. We can recommend that, and then, it doesn't. We can recommend that. We don't have to take what the selectmen's budget is. We have in the past made recommendations higher and lower.
I just feel like we're not even getting, like, I heard it from both of them. Town administrator told both of them to leave this out, leave that out, leave this out. So it's like I don't really even know.
Right. So
this isn't even right to what they want. So we don't even.
What we're seeing here is not
getting what
really
they want.
indicative.
They're
The numbers might work.
Like, how do you tell the police to just leave their utilities at this? Like, we not, it's insane.
So we haven't had that luxury the last few years.
But I feel like we have.
But then puts what we're bringing in for an income way up.
Hold on.
Like we haven't had the budget and time to do
Right.
that. You know what I mean?
Right. We've had all this.
We get the budget at the last minute, so we don't have time to go.
So this is where we got to make sure.
We get it.
Yeah, and that's what their Mary Beth's and the select boards,
Right.
whatever they call it. So we just need to be a little bit more.
I feel like we might have a shot at doing it this year, right? Because right now I've scheduled us for 3 meetings in March: the 3rd, the 10th, and the 24th. The 17th we're tentatively scheduled to meet with the Capital Committee, find out what they're doing. And what you're seeing is, some of the things that are really operational are being brought to the Capital Committee because they have a zero growth budget. So we got to get the money for that cruiser or the sighted firearms things. That's not really necessarily a capital request. I don't know. Well, maybe it is, but my thoughts are, if we take those 3 nights, we use the 2 hours and we go through it, and we'll go through it quickly, right? And just a lot of this we're okay with, and then we come back and just say, hey, I got a question on line 33, on line 22, on this one, and then we can come back and say, should we go up or down? And then we present that as our
recommendation budget. There's no reason. Even we used to. Hopefully this year with the contracts all done,
That's what I was thinking.
there won't be as much uncertainty. There always is. And whether or not, I don't even think, well, they probably will talk. We all know what an override situation is now. But there's no reason why even if we have to come in on an off night and go over some of this, because we used to even do the articles, the capital. They just reformed the capital committee a few years back. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. But in previous years, we would sit here and go over capital articles, and every line in Article 2, whether it was somebody's salary, when we recommended lower salaries at one point when things were tough. People got up on town hall floor, and they swayed. They went back and said, "No, we deserve this," but we at least said, "We think this works."
Isn't the
And that's what we really need to get back to is a little bit more of that, because we've really been it's been discouraging for me to not have that opportunity the last few years, because right now I can always, like this little budget right here,
This is a lot of.
a little bit of extra money in their expense line will probably make them feel a lot better and get some more stuff done. So
100%.
So let's just think it through,
So
but I'd like for us to take a more active role, which
Yeah.
is, you're right, Mike, it's actually what we're supposed to be.
Isn't that
Yeah.
like that's law? Like, isn't the finance committee supposed to be?
It's in that booklet they made us read.
It's in it.
Yep.
that the
Yep.
finance
So
committee is
it's okay to be a little aggressive, even with Mary Beth. We need this information. We need it in a little bit more of a timely fashion.
Yeah, and I think clearly this last one to me was crystal clear. We need to know if these departments have income. And
And where the income's going, because it's so confusing.
Into
as
the
far
town,
as
and
some-
usually,
the
yeah.
fire department,
Sometimes
and
it
into
goes
the police
back to the
department.
general fund,
Yes.
sometimes it goes back to the department,
Yes.
and there's no
Yeah.
transparency as far as where it goes.
So that, and I was talking to Todd, he was asking me something, like, and I wasn't at that select board meeting in December, because he wanted me to relay to you. He thought it was a great idea. I guess you had mentioned something about even like trying to put money away, like in department, like, emergency repair, more like, I guess, take capital stabilization, but allot it for, facilities, emergency repair fund. A little bit micromanaging.
A bunch of places for them
But to
grab
have
more money out of.
when you're taking in money,
Yeah.
Right.
it should not, that's a good idea, Elizabeth. It doesn't, it should, some of that
Especially when you
money,
have somebody that is well-meaning, trustworthy, and has an intent of what they.
yeah, and a history of,
Wherever the money's from.
This is the town clerk's budget that she left copies of. She wasn't able to come last week.
Yeah, if
Was
their
it last
revenue
week?
is covering 20% of their
That's
budget,
real.
I mean, that's huge. How many
Yeah.
other departments have that, you know?
yeah.
I was shocked with the recreation. They,
Recreation,
Yeah,
91,000.
Right.
then they get a 92,000 cost. That's almost a wash.
Yeah.
But like,
But,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah. But
yeah. Is,
That is.
the year before she was saying how she had, yeah.
yeah, well, I actually had today, just so everybody's aware, I went over and met with the IT department. I'm their liaison, so I offered, and they said they wanted to meet with me, so I spent about an hour with them. Interesting, they're going to come in with a big ask. They're not doing the 0%, because they've got software that the contract is more money than it was. You can't just zero it. We're going to have to pay the money, right? If you still want to send out tax bills, you got to pay the software that makes the tax bills. What was interesting was, it's on their budget. Every department, their software and hardware is passed over to the IT department. So it shows up in the IT department like the IT department is spending all this money. It's not. It's all the other department software.
Every department.
There's no chargeback mechanism, which most companies will use and say, well, it's $50,000 for your software. Yes, it's under the IT budget's thing, but it charges back over to the whatever department, right? And so that'll be an interesting conversation. But we're seeing it with all these things that money's just kind of shuffled around a lot.
One more thing before we shut off the recorder.
Yeah, we're still in meeting, we haven't.
Yeah, we have not closed yet.
We have not closed yet the annual town report, and I know that it was mentioned before, when we did this last year, that, the feedback, I'm not sure, but I just wanted to let you know, as chair, the annual report is going to be due, I believe, January 30th, what that letter is saying, so I'm not sure if you want to ask for input from the committee over the last year, or,
See what was written last year and that.
Yes, I was just gonna say I can also assist.
Yeah.
We will bring that up, but if anybody wants to, just supply feedback of what you thought came
Yeah.
out of last year, what we did well, what could have been done better, whatever. And then we'll get assistance.
Right, so the annual report is, hold off on that for a sec. The annual report kind of gives us a brief overview of what we did. It's in the, obviously.
I'll send out what was sent out last year.
Yeah, do that, and then everybody else can read it. On that note, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, I didn't even
Okay.
see that one yet.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn on the floor, all in favor?
Uh,
Anybody opposed? No.